What's up, YouTube? How are all y'all Lee haters doing? We're going live on the last day of 2025, and I'm gonna go over the 26 biggest lessons. And really, what I want y'all to know is inside this presentation, look, it's insurance versus retail, and the big lesson of 2025 would be that retail versus insurance, the transition to retail. And everything inside this presentation is going to be everything that I learned. I'm going to wait until everybody comes in here and gets built up into the group, and then we're going to get going. This is for roofing business owners that are trying to make this the best year of their life. Scaling their roofing company could never be a better time for it than right now, baby. Look, it's the backwoods American dream. What is that? It's where the rednecks with paychecks want to go out there, take the money out of selling roofs and go and put them underground. But maybe you should put that money into things that make y'all money. What's up, Instagram? What's up, YouTube? Look, I'm going to be answering any questions. Share your biggest lessons from 2025. If you got any questions, Happy New Year. I wanted to hang with y'all. We're ending the year with some massive momentum. I did a 100 deal challenge, and I actually was defeated. I got beat at my own game. And today, during this quick presentation, I'm going to be talking about the legendary roofer that whooped my ass. And if you're watching this right now, comment where you're coming in from. Happy New Year to you. First of all, what I do it for the blue collar American dream. All y'all, look, AI is taking over, and they're not taking over roofing. And that means the people that grow home service businesses, that have successful home service businesses, they have a real dependable way to build wealth. And my entire life, I wanted to make roofing cool for my kids. I wanted to make like roofing and the blue collar trade cool for your kids. What's up, Indiana? What's up, Houston? What y'all doing on the new year? What I'm doing is chilling with y'all. There's a blue collar American dream legend right there, Travis Mills. He's over there in Louisiana. Raise up. What's up, Austin? How you doing? You're the next generation. Look, the reality is, guys, there's never been a better time for the American dream, and it really doesn't matter what you're doing. You know that you need a little bit more money. Come on, guys. It's getting ridiculous. Rent's too damn high. Everything costs too much money. And the truth is like it's 2025. This little presentation is going to be through my 26 biggest lessons. And this is for sales leaders, roofing business owners, door-to-door warriors, operators. Comment any questions that you may have about this year, any comments. For anybody that's wondering why you should listen to me, I got 20 years in the roofing business. I started like professionally. I dropped out of high school. Dropped out of college after 6 months in college and went directly into the roofing business. My mom and dad told me that I needed to get sober to get into the roofing business. And I did. I went on to a path, found God, found my higher power, and it was on from there. My first year in the business, sold about $1 million. And ever since then, I've been learning lessons. And the reality is, my best year, we did 60 million in revenue, nearly 5 million in profits. I was able to buy roofing companies, invest into a big picture, but I went through a major market collapse. And I think sometimes the people that have massive success that aren't willing to put their truth out there, look, the amount of money that you have to risk to be a big roofer, when there's 60% that goes into the cost of goods and the cost of doing business is really expensive. We had 8 insurance companies go out of business. There was $8 million in accounts receivable. And I think Facebook ads are the best way to generate business in roofing with paid advertising. I'm going to go over that a little bit later in the presentation. And so I just want y'all to know that through this market collapse, I've been an insurance roofer, a door-to-door guy, a storm chaser that became a storm catcher. And my entire life, there was one thing that was broken about my business model. That was that I did everything probably 80-90% based off of insurance and allowed insurance companies to pay me. That means that my life, a lot of times, depending on how fast claims were getting approved, a lot of times payment on roofing jobs depended on how quickly the insurance company would pay me. And it was over the last 2 years that I switched my large company to a retail business model. There's been a lot of challenges doing it one way for 20 years. Look, it's not that we couldn't generate the leads. It's not that we didn't have the sales system. It's that when you're financing insurance jobs, sometimes it takes 90 days to get paid. And a lot of times people want to throw shots from the outside and say, look, my best year, 60 million in sales, we only made about 4.5 million bucks. That revenue and margin is a little bit lower than my goal of making 15% margin on every revenue dollar that I sell. This is net after all bills are paid, after taxes are paid. I paid literally like $1 million in taxes. This was a year before the insurance market collapsed. I had a huge conference. And for the last 2 years, dude, I've been in a place where I had to lower my overhead. I had to rebuild a lot of my systems. And I did go through a period where, dude, I ran out of money, hit the cash flow crunch. There is a time last year we did about half as much revenue as we did in our best year. And I had to find a way not to go out of business. And it's more of a survival story than anything else. Once you become big enough, like, I don't know how many of y'all are small business owners. Type in below if you're a roofing business owner. But the truth is like, once you get above 10 million, you really get to get different kind of costs. And your business can break at 10 million, 20 million. But when you're at $60 million, you're doing work off of insurance. One of the biggest challenges is scaling your accounts receivable, scaling your company. And the biggest thing that I should say is that this year we were able to do less, make more, increase the margin. And I want to show you how. Look, the hook of this whole thing is I got beat at my own game. We did a 100 roof challenge, and we recently had a winner, 60 deals in 30 days. It came out of Michigan. It was a retail roof, and we're going to break that down here in a minute. But the roofing lot, and this is the main thing that's funny, is that so many people want to talk about our RCA and my company, and I just want y'all to know, like, I've been able to acquire multifamily real estate. My big purpose has been to take sort of the risky money that we make in roofing and put it into real estate. And the truth is like, once you get to be a big company, it can be very challenging to keep up with all of the different changes that it has to make. And so the idea is that retail is too hard and the margin sucks. Door to door is dead, and it's an old school tactic. Or you need some sort of massive personality to scale, or maybe the big lie is you just need to be in the perfect market. You need a good storm. And that being said, dude, if you are in a retail business, a lot of times you're waiting on people that have to spend money on their roof. And that's literally the people at the top 3% of the buying cycle. And so the best roofers are actually people that can do a combination of insurance and retail. The truth is that roofing is a sales business. It's not a construction business. Recruiting is the engine that drives your scale. Cash flow is king. Revenue is just the ego. And systems beat heroics every single day. Door to door remains undefeated for acquisition of cost, because the ultimate goal is to get a zero cost per acquisition job. And so kind of walking you through my biggest lessons last year, hitting sort of a brick wall when it comes to cash flow, we had to do it with the setter closer model, going door to door. And we rebuilt a office in Connecticut in a hailstorm market where it was halfway through the year. We had a small team, and from 0 to I think 3 million the first year. This year we did $6 million in sales. Most of the business from that market was created through door to door. But the big game changer was when we started financing insurance claims on the contingency agreement, financing the insurance claims that got denied, using a magic letter to overturn denials to approvals. And one thing's for sure is that a lot of people are trying to shift to retail. Comment below if you're a roofing business owner and you're trying to scale to 8 figures. Look, the ultimate prize is a business that runs without you, that does 8 figures in revenue, that makes 2 million in profit. Because if you can get to that stage in your business, you can get a 8-figure check. There's been a lot of guys this year. There's a guy named Dean. He sold a company, Humboldt Roofing, out of Atlanta, and they were able to grow with my system to 25 million a year. They exited over 8 figures. He was one of a few different companies that came through our program that sold and exited their company. Another company out of Columbus, Ohio, Lifetime Quality, sold for multiple 8 figures. They came to me doing about $10 million in sales. They added the recruiting funnel. They added Facebook lead generation. They added a lot of the different things that I use as far as social media to grow the business into their game. and they did a lot of things on their own. And shout out to the guys over there at Lifetime Quality, because they made me better in the group. And my whole purpose in this life is to share what I've learned after 20 years with other roofers, so you don't have to make the same mistakes. The goal is to build the wealthiest organization in roofing. I got a long ways to go. Want to be the Chick-fil-A of roofing. And as we proceed, it gets more competitive. The claims get paid out slower. The insurance policies are more benefiting the customer. The customer has to come out of pocket with more money. And so it means the challenge is here, that you have to learn this retail approach where you can sell the job even if there's not an insurance claim. You can sell the job even if there's not an approval. And so it was right before Hurricane Milton's last 30 days. I said, look, we only have 1 year to file a claim. Laws have changed. I need to make a commitment to show my guys what's possible. And so I got in my truck and I said, the CEO is going to go on the streets and I'm going to sell 100 roofs in 30 days. I'm going to take care of all of my CEO duties. So for all of y'all that want to grow to 8 figures and beyond, it comes with this core ability to run a war wagon. And what's a war wagon? Comment below what you think. If you want to be one of these big old goons putting big bags of money in the streets, comment below what a war wagon is. But it's running door to door out of your truck. It's using the setter closer model. It's constantly having new blood that's knocking doors for you, set an appointment, and you're training them how to sell the job through the setter closer model. You're teaching them how to manage their projects, collect their money. And the funny thing is I've got just so many people that are not on the level, because the truth is like over the years, I have had thousands of door-to-door salespeople come through my organization. And what we do is there's a lot of excuse makers. It's not really easy being $1 million producer in roofing. You got to do what you say you're going to do. We break down the commissions. And when it comes to insurance, we have to teach people how to sell, build, collect. The term of how basically you go through the process is you have to be good at handling a legal case, handling a project management, selling a job, collecting the money, being a problem solver, being a firefighter. And it's really funny. The whole broken business model of the insurance is how long that it takes to get paid. And so my goal was to do 100 loans in 30 days. Before the end of Hurricane Milton, I was able to do 26 loans, 50 something contingency agreements. And it sort of like completely changed my perspective on the insurance to retail approach. The reality is like, it's easier to pay a sales rep to just sell when they secure a hard number contract at a high price and it's backed by a loan. And so even if a guy has to have somebody that can project manage or build the job out for him, the challenge has always been to teach roofing. You have to teach guys that run insurance, not just how to sell the job, but how to work the claim, how to manage the project, and how to deal with the problems to collect the check. The time that it takes to get paid leaves a sticky situation where sales reps, they may not be able to make it to the end and they want to throw rocks and complain because they didn't basically make it to the end of the process. But the challenge was very simple, okay? Do 100 roofs in 30 days. I got to 80 roofs in 30 days. Then I wanted to do the challenge in the month of December for one reason, and that was to create massive momentum in the hardest month of the year while everyone else is laying down. Now, I don't know if it's new year, new you for you, but the reality is that we wanted to get the start in December. And so I did a challenge. It was a Black Friday offer. There was a bunch of different people that joined, and we had a true champion. His name was Ross. He's out of Michigan, Shaner Roofing. He's much different than most roofers, still coachable, doing more than $30 million a year. He spends hundreds of thousands of dollars, even in hard winter months, so that he can continue to get speed to lead, speed to build, speed to close with a retail first sales system. He was able to generate 60 sales in 30 days. Our RCA, we had, I think, 4 sales come in on the last day today. So we had like 49 retail deals in the last month of the year. And so Ross beat us. And one of the ways that he did it was he did it through a speed to lead, a retail closing process where you spend basically an hour and a half to 2 hours at the kitchen table. You build real certainty in you, your company, and your process. You build value in your roof price, and then you find a way to make it affordable through either financing price drops or the value in the cheapest that you can get the roof is today in a price value guarantee. Ross was able to dominate, which, dude, it's all because risk is the down payment for success. The most dependable way to build wealth is the ability to advertise for profit. And he basically joined the group, even though he's doing 25, 30 million a year, because he's looking for something else. And one of the biggest things that I discovered in working with Ross is he's not using his social media enough to reduce his cost per acquisition. The best way to get free stuff off the internet is organic social media. Shout out to y'all being here on the stream. But the idea is pretty simple. If you're a roofing business owner that wants to scale, you want to be able to spend money with leads, have a speed to lead and close the deals like Ross, but you want to lower your cost per acquisition by making 10 to 20 videos a month. What we use is a strategy called spray, pray, and retarget. We use dynamic creative, 3 different ad videos, the hidden damage, the build, the testimonial video. And there's a lot of different hook story offers. I actually built a lead generation GPT where you can comment and fucking get it to write you scripts. If you want lead GPT, just type in lead GPT. I'll see if we can get you a free access to my GPT. But what I want you to know is that Ross is going to he won a free ticket to our upcoming Scale and Exit Mastermind at my office. We're doing an office tour recently. We took a group of guys out to the private island here in Naples. And so the most important thing, the vehicle that determines the outcome, is that insurance only fails. That means that basically you're completely dependent on storms. You're living death by depreciation. You got long, painful cash cycles, 90 to 180 days. You got carrier and regulatory risk I've had different headlines about public adjuster, roofers being acting like a public adjuster, or the states coming after you because you're pursuing too many different claims, or even roofers being accused of causing damage. The reality is I've never had to deal with any of those claims, but insurance only fails mainly because of the time that it takes to get the roof approved, the sales cycle, and the time that it takes to get paid on the job. My hybrid model is a little bit different. And this has really kind of changed our ability to retain top reps in a market that takes a long time to get a claim paid. We're going to use the insurance to retail roof and sue method. We're going to get a lot of our leads through knocking doors, and using Roof and Redline, my app, we assign territories. We can do a little bit different. Like, there's so many different apps to use in roofing. We like having one app that allows you to measure roofs, upload your photos like Company Cam, complete your estimates, and manage your territories and manage your door-to-door with a leaderboard like Sales Rabbit. And so having this hub, having this leadership group, that is truly how we generate leads at the lowest cost per acquisition, because the best lead in roofing is a door-to-door sales guy that can generate his own business. But what we came across this year was using AI. And I think it's freaking hilarious that everybody out here wants to challenge roofing, as the reality is like AI doesn't just use, I'm not just using AI. I'm using AI to build the database. I use AI to go through lists, whether I'm using like in Connecticut, the coal directory, to find out where homes that are built that have an older roof may be most likely to have a 15-year-old roof. What we do in Florida is we go off of permit data, but we build these database lists, and we have a call center. And just through cold lead generation, we of course scrub the do not call list. The idea is pretty simple. Smarter data, whether we're dialing out with AI or dialing out with humans, or we're using these same lists to put into Facebook so that we can target them with Facebook ads. The idea is like AI helps us build the targeting, but that's just one part of our Air Force, because our door-to-door force is going to put the target on the roofs that are old. We're going to follow up through text, through email, and through basically a combination of Air Force and ground force. When data from door-to-door, Roof and Redline is followed up on the Air Force, that's cold calling, following up, and setting appointments right here. Now, what creates that unfair advantage to the insurance and retail approach? It's creating 5 to 10 videos, maybe even 15 videos a month to use to split test on Facebook. And Facebook and Instagram is the cheapest source for lead generation at the highest quality lead. But the problem it really comes down to you create so many leads, you don't get that many appointments. See, I was talking to Ross, who got 60 deals, who spent millions of dollars on roofing leads, and he told me that his booking rate is like 30%. That means that if he was able to create 100 leads, he only creates 30 appointments. Well, it's not about how many leads. It's about how many appointments get ran, how many appointments get closed. So the reality is being able to generate leads is a big part of the equation, because if you can generate leads, you can attract top talent. And for me, the hybrid model is about door-to-door, a call center, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube video ads, geographically targeted and then retargeted. And all of that creates basically a virtual call center. It's all the data, all the leads, all the people that are interested go into the SDU Hub. And the SDU Hub is a software that allows me to do marketing automation, AI phone calls, human being assigning my sales reps through a virtual agency. It connects directly to the job nimbus. And for us, we've been able to do a lot of virtual roofing sales, almost 100 roofs here in the last 90 days over the phone completely. And a lot of that's through our insurance to retail, no interest, no payment method, where we're getting a 12-month no interest, no payment loan with every insurance deal. But the reality is people who can't do teach. It's fucking hilarious. I love talking to the trolls. Let me talk to the fucking trolls for a minute, okay? Come on, trolls. Why don't you fuck with me a little bit? I enjoy this shit because I'm sitting here today, last week of the year, and I got fucking $800,000 in sales this week, and I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that we're not at $1 million in sales this week. Now, I've done 60 million in revenue, but I know now when I do $1 million in a week, I'm making $150,000 in a week. And so one thing's for sure, I'll take doing a little less revenue to make more profit. And I just love to hear it. I love to hear all the haters. The loudest boos come from the cheap seats. And there's nobody on the internet that has scaled their company, put themselves out there. And the truth is, over the last 2 years, I had to rebuild everything. I did go through a lot of break even months where I lost money. There's months where I was losing $1 million or more. And what was the reason why? Because the insurance model was broken. Claims stopped getting paid. And I went through some massive market disruption where I had to adapt. It was getting people approved for no payment, no interest loans, partnering with the bank instead of being the bank, and really learning that pouring advertisements, lead generation, marketing money into contingency agreements that take a year to convert, that only close at a 30% rate, was a real bad business model. It worked for a while when the claims were getting paid in a reasonable amount of time, but when everything fell apart, the truth is like, dude, you get to see somebody go out there and go through the growth process just like anyone else. You grow your business until it breaks. Then you have to try and find a solution, and you don't really have the solution until sometimes you're at that rock bottom point in life. And this is why so many of y'all are sometimes afraid to put yourself out there on social media. The cool thing is like, I always found that I play better when people are watching. And so like, sometimes it's at your rock bottom point where you've took 4 steps backwards in life that you find that fucking revolutionary change. And some people play really good when there's 100 guns pointed at their head. For me, 100 roofs in 30 days, figuring out this roof and sue method, getting 70% of the roofs that we sell into a no payment, no interest loan, first at the contingency, then at the adjuster appointment, then when the insurance paperwork comes. This was the game changer. And so, I don't know who else on the internet decides to document selling 80 roofs in 30 days. But as a CEO, that's sort of the lowest task that I can do. But I had to rebuild the system. And the system was rebuilt, but it's been 400 million in results for other roofers. Like John, this guy right here, he actually beat me at my own game in Tampa. This guy, now we did lots of volume, probably more volume than John, but John, he's really taken over in Tampa as a $20 million a year residential roofer. He started with me with a few people, but it was learning how to generate leads through video content. It was learning how to scale through the setter closer model door to door. It was learning how to recruit, hire, train, retain, which is the basis of door to door and how you can grow to 4.3 million with zero ad spend. But this year, doing more than $15 million and having a company that's worth multiple 8 figures, John became one of the best up and coming blue collar millionaires made throughout the system. And I'm so proud of him because in that time period, John took on personal development. He took on bodybuilding. He looks like a freaking monster. He won a bodybuilding contest. And whenever he was underachieving, even as a badass sales rep, not as an owner, the truth is like when he first started my program, he looked completely different. And his business now looks like his body. It's ripped, rich, and rare. And I just want y'all to know, guys, like you don't need talent, you need discipline. And it takes a good attitude. It takes a good effort. But you can plug into our system and buy back time. The big thing for me to cut costs, because I would say when you scale very large, over 20 million bucks, it's revenue per employee. It's how many people do you need to support the engine? And that was one of the biggest problems, is that doing insurance all the time, we had to chase down the claims, chase down the denials, our supplement department, our collections department. There was so much extra overhead. The idea that we could use AI, that we could use automation, that we could build a system where throughout the process, the customer kept communication through, we could basically through a better sales process, not have to hire so many people. And it allowed us to cut a lot of our overhead costs. The truth is like door to door is still the best way to do it in roofing. And I'm glad that you tried the roof and Sue. I'm glad that it works great. Dude, I'm pumped up about this for the year because the formula is simple. You got to follow the operating system. It's 53-1. It's getting your sales reps to knock 50 doors a day. This is zero cost per acquisition. It's a cheat code. I mean, I just had a new recruit, AJ. He sold about $250,000 in his first week in the business. And, he's going to probably get 150,000 of that built in his first month. And a lot of that comes from just being really good at door to door. But the truth is like when you can see the old roof, when you can complete the offer, you increase your ability to close the deal in a different way. And so for us, guys like Grant Martinez from Tartan Builders, who were able to build an Instagram profile, focusing on our real guys, your business card is your Instagram. And I don't know how many followers or engagement or what you have. But the truth is Grant does a better job than anybody of running a social recruiting engine. And he's a recruiting first mindset guy. And he uses door-to-door as a daily training filter. And so he was able to scale to become one of the largest roofers in the Ohio area. And what's that? My best apprentice, Ricky. Let me tell you something about Ricky. Ricky is a guy that I helped him grow from 2 million to 8 million to $18 million. Just because I coach you on how to grow doesn't mean that I handle everything in your business. And he was running in-house crews. He was doing builds, and he had scaled his advertising budget to $100,000 a month. And one thing about Ricky, he's one of the best human beings I've ever met. He poured all of his money back into his team. And it was the overhead expenses of the more you grow a roofing company, the more money that you have to spend. And if you're not responsible financially and you don't look at the bills, one thing's for sure is that I can help you really scale. But if I don't help you grow in control, if I don't help you grow with the right discipline, then you can build a business that can break. And that's how you learn sometimes. And the one thing that Ricky did was Ricky scaled his company to a point where he needed my help with cash flow. So what did I do when my friend asked for help? I gave him $1 million because I wanted a company to be a partner with. I knew about Ricky's values. And for me, it was basically something that I could get into the details. It's all going to get, Ricky's going to have his day. But the truth is that we had to rebuild. We had to start over. And he had to shut his company down. It was an investment into a company that I thought a little bit emotionally about investing because he was my friend. And that was 2 years ago. This year, as a trainer in my company, we were able to build in Connecticut a $6 million in revenue, 1 million profit, him as the trainer and head leader of the group, more than more than 1 million in profit. And just because somebody grew their business, Ricky is not bankrupt. Ricky is a guy that is killing it right now with our RCA as a team. But sometimes, guys, you're better with a wolf pack than you are on your own. And the truth is that I took a bad situation, and even the worst possible situation, it was proof that a human being is stronger with the platform than they are on their own. And we were able to have, right now, our RCA Connecticut, 4.9 stars, 100 plus 5-star reviews, $6 million book of business. And look, this is the American dream. To risk is the down payment for success. Now, Grant, a guy that scaled through door to door, one thing that he's done, he's stuck to roof only. He's stuck to doing it through cost per acquisition through door to door. And I think the main thing about his scaling as a young entrepreneur is keeping his expenses in check, keeping his cash flow in check. And as long as you do those things, you're really, the one rule in roofing is never get ahead of the money. And the truth is that the Scale and Exit Mastermind is an opportunity for y'all to come to my office, go through my entire business system. And I think that humbly eating a little bit of crow and having to go through the rebuilding process with Ricky, Ricky's been just absolutely, he's been the guy who's helped me implement retail into my business the most. So he's done a lot to help me. And the product is a method that works. And so for us, we just signed the contingency agreement up. And even if the insurance adjuster denies the claim, we're moving forward with the build. And even if the insurance company pays a low amount, we're getting the loan approved and the supplement reimbursed on the back end. My system is about recruit, hire, train, door-to-door guys, generate more leads with video ads, use AI and automation to make sure that you have a 50% or better appointment setting rate, a cost per appointment that's below $200 an appointment, and a closing percentage that allows you to get a cost per acquisition below $1,500 a roof. If you can do that, get a loan secured with every roof, you have the dependable way to build wealth. And so for me, more leads, more recruits, building it on a solid framework. You know, you don't really learn what works on this level, and sometimes until your business breaks. This is literally a part of the process. And so I just want y'all to know that I'm sitting here talking to you, and I just got a text as of today and yesterday, we converted $256,000 in sales. And a lot of those sales, they came from Ricky in the Connecticut office. These guys are killing it in the winter. And it's because Ricky doesn't have to manage his money when he's partnered with me. I get to decide basically a lot of times. The biggest thing for him, a simple change, was do roof only. Don't go out there and bid projects like remodeling projects that you may underbid and take at a loss just because of revenue. Revenue is for vanity, profits for sanity. And the lessons that you learn that come from scaling as big as possible versus being as profitable as possible and focusing on cash flow first, these are the reasons why we're the best people to help you avoid some of the biggest mistakes that happen in roofing. Because this year, the reality is that we've had guys like Cloto Construction who grew training with us, door-to-door, insurance and retail, even without a storm, $7.5 million. Companies making really good money. I'm really proud of the guys over there in Louisiana, became absolute game changers in the marketplace because they built a team. And I don't know what you're doing, struggling to build a team, but most roofers fail because they don't know how to recruit. Most roofers fail because they don't have a production manager. They don't have a sales manager. It's usually not how to grow your business. It's who you're missing to grow your business. And so many of y'all want to come in here and try and figure out, like, why do I do this? Well, here's why I do this. My goal is to grow organically and through mergers and acquisitions and become the wealthiest organization in roofing. I'm a true practitioner. Instead of selling to private equity when I could for 30 or 40 million, I self-financed the acquisitions of 3 companies, one of which was recently offered 25 million bucks. And out of 3 different acquisitions, one being my best friend, Ricky, who's shown what it really is to be a stand-up guy. I mean, it's been really kind of given me a black eye because I didn't do enough due diligence. It was probably too late. And going backwards, what would I have done differently? I definitely would have found a way to save the person. Maybe we could have done some things now that we couldn't have done then. But the truth is like, we are moving into 2026 with a new way to do business with this insurance to retail roof and sue. We don't have to fight for supplements. We don't have to fight for denials. And we don't even need a good summer. They're actually killing it in the winter market. Most of y'all are actually selling in the cold, and you don't understand that basically winter is just a figment of your imagination. Nobody's ever worked as good in the winter as I've seen those guys in Connecticut, and they're killing it by going back to their roofs that got denied and giving the magic letter close, getting them a pre-approval. And so if you're looking to take the next step, if you're looking for business owners, look, we have an upcoming Scale and Exit Mastermind. And what you get with that is you get 2 days scaling roadmap in my office. You get 4 sales training calls a week. You get a group chat in which we go over this insurance to retail all week. What I've done is I've focused on bringing you into a real community, my sales community, my sales guys, where we're talking about commercial on Wednesday. We're pumping people up on Saturday. We're getting fired up insurance to retail on Tuesday. I'm sitting here looking at my group chat go off right now, and I'm just fired up that my team is fucking going hard on the last day of the year. And I don't know about you, but everybody needs a little bit of momentum for 2026. Everybody needs more money, and roofing is the vehicle. And so that being said, if you're roofing business owners, I'm looking for roofing business owners, 1 to 5 million. We have a limited number of spots. There's like 30 spots. We just did this here. It was about 2 weeks ago. We basically trained in my office, and we worked out in the morning. We went to an island out here called Key Waden, had a day on the boat. I took the guys out on my boat. I want to do the same thing for a small group of people. We just had a 100 roof challenge. The winner of the challenge got a free extra ticket. We had another guy from Jacksonville, Owen, step up. He killed it on the challenge itself. He also, with 2 setters, 1 closer, was able to do like close to 30 deals in the month of December. And so I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm thinking, look, guys, the reason why I went on this stream was to kind of talk about my biggest lessons from 2025. And it was that you can't really scale an insurance dependent company without cash flow problems, cash flow constraints. And there's a real profitability issue that comes when you have a big company that has to chase insurance money all the time. And so there's also challenges with the retail model. With retail, the cost per acquisition on the lead, with Ricky scaling so big, one of the biggest challenges was taking on all these different projects. There was a big company in Minnesota that recently had a problem, and they were a remodeling company that went out of business. And it was because sometimes these remodeling jobs, they're very complex jobs. If they're not profitable, if you get messed up in production, the cost of just operations, keeping in-house crews, it's a whole different game. Really focusing on roof only, exterior only, working through door to door that has a 0 cost per acquisition, starting a lot of your deals with insurance, but switching them to retail. Dude, we've been able to organically scale and start over in Connecticut, scale to $6 million in sales, 1 million in profit. What my biggest lesson from 2025 is bigger is not always better, but if you want to be the best, dude, you got to be willing to break your shit. Sometimes, the worst thing that happens, you're telling me that you're not going to scale your business because you're worried about failing in front of everybody else at the highest level. Look, this year was one of my most successful years. I was the most profitable I ever been. I had the lowest cost per acquisition that I've ever had. I had the highest amount of sales per sales rep that I ever had before. I had a $10 million producer, a $2.5 million producer. I personally went out there and put my hands on a lot of roofs this year to help the team. And the main thing is I realized that I had to get back to the source. What's funny is I just got a check It came through it's fucking last day of the fucking year. Just got a screenshot, $365,000 down payment on a project. And it's so funny. I don't know how many of y'all, we converted 250,000 in the last couple of days. Just got a $365,000 down payment on a brand new commercial job. Look, it's 2026. And if you want to increase the quality of your life, you need to increase the size of your projects. You need to get more projects to retail with a loan. You need to figure out how to generate recruits through organic social media, leads through social media at a really good rate. And it's using, whether it's AI to set appointments, AI to build lists, or a virtual sales engine to attach to your marketing engine that lowers that true cost per acquisition and lowers basically your cost per appointment with a higher booking rate. So many of us are trying to do these things. And that being said, look, this year has been a blessing. To go through adversity. It brings the best in me. I can remember my guy, Drew the Beast Stewart. He's over here on this stream. We got into a beef with Wes Watson and almost had to have a fight in front of everybody at the Blue Collar American Dream Conference. It was quite fucking hilarious. But my man, Drew, the truth is, man, at that time, I was sitting pretty, dude. We made like almost $5 million that year. We did there's Yanni, the guy who just picked up a $365,000 check. I was just shouting you out, Yanni. Last day of the year, coming in strong with a $365,000 down payment on a large commercial project. Yanni's a multi-million-dollar producer at our RCA, and this check solidifies, I think, nearly $2 million in sales, or $2.1 million in sales, working the last day of the year. Man, dude, thank you, Yanni, for making that trip to that office. I'm so grateful for you, buddy. Yanni stuck with me as we've gone through this adversity. And you might wonder, how do you retain reps? Well, it's all about the culture. Whenever Yanni came on board, he came from another roofing company. But Yanni was really blown away at our video marketing ads and the quality of the leads. He was blown away at the idea of learning commercial because he came into my community at one of these events where I had all these commercial business owners, and we did like $1 million job that night. He's like, man, I want to be a part of that. Now, Yanni is a guy who is doing higher end projects, commercial jobs. And, for 2026, for you, my vision, Yanni, is how do we load you up with more commercial leads? How do we figure out how to make the most out of your skill set? Everybody's a little bit different. Yanni's one of our best retail closers. He's one of our best commercial project managers, but maybe he's not the best door knocker. So a guy like Yanni needs to have his calendar filled up with high quality leads. His job's built fast, and he needs to get paid. And if you give this guy a place to grow, he will never go. So Yanni, I just want you to know, I'm constantly giving this idea of how are we going to take our best people and give them a place to grow, man. I appreciate you showing up to all the leadership calls and staying a part of this thing and doing it all the way to the end, brother. I really do. And for all y'all that are watching this right now, look, I want to invite you to my office in Naples, Florida. I want to take you on my boat. I want to take you through each step of my scaling roadmap. And the truth is like, some of y'all need a production manager and better systems and operations, like the intake process in production and how customer care works through a production process. I mean, one of the biggest problems with production is that sometimes production gets ahead of the money. Sometimes production doesn't require certain things that fuck up the profit, that fuck up the cash flow, that fuck up pretty much the entire book of business. And so if this age 2026 is about execution and not information, you need to get in the environment. I've basically got 400 million in results for my clients. There's been 8 guys sell their companies for 8 figures or more. I'm not selling my company until it's worth 9 figures. My goal is to create the most millionaires. I am not going to market until there's 5 to 10 other roofers that are using my system in partnership and making 1 to 2 million a month alongside of us making 5 to 7 million a month. Our goal is to have a 10 to 15x multiple, a $250 million exit. This is why I'm out here giving away my secrets. I want to invite y'all to train with my sales team, learn the insurance to retail, come to this Scale and Exit Mastermind. At the Scale and Exit Mastermind, we're going over the recruiting funnel. We're going over AI lead generation. We're going over the setter closer model, the roof and sue. We're going over how we're able to scale, build with less people, keeping our revenue per employee right around $900,000 per employee. And I wasn't able to do that whenever I was just doing insurance, when I didn't have the technology set up, when I didn't have one app that made everything simpler, like Roofing Redline. And so if you're watching this, look, comment, scale, and exit. We'll start a conversation, see if you're a good fit. I don't really want to invite everyone out to hang out and be on the boat and go through the scale and roadmap. I want to make sure that you're open-minded and coachable. I want to repulse the sheeple people that are sitting there in the Facebook groups, that are binge watching YouTube, that are all about strategy and not about execution, that are just sitting here trying to take in all this information, but don't actually do. I'm looking for doers, not dabblers. So if you're a doer and you want massive results, in 2025, our RCA was able to build more than $30 million in jobs. We didn't sell what we used to sell, but we made a higher margin than we did in ever before. We're the most efficient. And so I have built my company to get to $100 million in 2026. And I want to share this with all the trials and tribulations with you. So I'm inviting you to a Scale and Exit Mastermind. It's going down December 31st, February 1st. It's going to be here in Naples, Florida. And so type in Scale and Exit. We'll get you a conversation started to see if you're a good fit. I'm not just inviting everybody, because that means I'm going to be stuck hanging out with you on the boat. And I don't really want to hang out with people that aren't going to take action, that are asking questions without actually doing any work. I call those assholes. If you're one of those guys, it's like, how do I grow on social media? But you haven't made 20 social media posts and you ask everybody, how do I grow on social media? I don't even want to talk to you. But if you're somebody that's serious about getting more leads, getting more salespeople, getting your $1 to $5 million company, 10, 20 million. We even had a $20 million company come into this 100 roof challenge and kill it. Dude, the reality is, guys, I'm going to be doing insurance claims to the day of my life. That's the best way to start the conversation when it comes to someone who doesn't want a roof. But it's telling that customer that the reality is, insurance companies are dropping people with roofs over 15 years old. The cheapest that you can get a roof is now. And the best way for you to get approved is for you to go ahead and get pre-approved, to submit this magic letter. And this gives us leverage and the power of the purse. This is the process. So just go ahead and give me a copy of your driver's license and your social security card. And that just changed everything. And so if you're watching this right now, the execution of the roof and sue, the execution of the insurance to retail, it's still a long process, 30, 60, 90 days to build. The retail process, like my guy Ross, he's closing deals and he can build them the next day. And that's why I've got a steady stream of leads. Like, for instance, we sell in a county like Manatee County, where PACE loans approve people below 650. We run an ad that says, it doesn't matter your credit score. We got a 15% price value guarantee, zero money down. You don't need good credit. And these people that usually wouldn't qualify for a loan, when you can get them approved, you can sell them retail only, retail fast, at a high profit margin, 50% or better. You just have to have a subpar credit score opportunity. Like for us, it's the PACE loan here in Florida, partnered with Renew Financial. And so for those deals, it's a fast retail only turnaround. I also run lead campaigns that calls out people that are denied by that are dropped by their insurance company, that have been sent a non-renewal letter. And so the big focus for me in 2026 is to increase the amount of sales, get 30-40% of our RCA's residential revenue in retail only deals. This is where we start retail first. And a lot of times starting retail first and dropping to insurance just makes the insurance seem more valuable. A lot of times giving them the high price, giving them the 5-star roof all up front, it's only going to make the fact that maybe if they don't qualify for some reason that you can do insurance that much better. So look, I want to hang out with you, man. I want to show you everything that I've learned throughout the process. I've been coaching roofers, helping guys when I was only doing 10 million a year. My best year I did 60 million. I've done $195 million in roofs in the last 5 years. I just basically sold a place here in Naples. It was something that Grant Cardone says not to do. He says, don't buy single family real estate. This was a property we bought for 1.4 million. I sold it for 2.9 million. Whenever I did a big multifamily deal, I put my money into a C-class property. We upgraded the property from 80,000 a unit, sold it for 200,000 a unit. And it was a big property. It was 115 units. And so this is where the money goes, from roofing to real estate, if you want to truly build wealth. But what I did this year is I took the money and I went and bought 3 companies, and I went through the biggest adversity that I ever went through my life. The Florida market shifted. I had a text message just yesterday. It was like, my buddy, I didn't get a text message for him for Christmas. And I was like, dude, why didn't you send me a text message every single holiday? Merry Christmas, happy holidays. You're always sending these group messages. What's going on? I didn't get this message. He's like, man, I'm out of business, dude. I shut down my business. And I'm like, dude, man, let's get together. Let me figure out how we can, get through this. But this is a guy that's been in business for 30 years, and he's in Florida. He's an insurance, mostly roofer, trying to learn retail. But the real reason that he's probably struggling is he needs to improve his quality of video ads and ability to advertise for profit on social media, increase his ability to get organic traffic, increase his ability to recruit through social media, be able to speed up the process of door-to-door insurance to retail here in Florida, still be able to recruit door-to-door guys here in Florida, but also be able to sell retail by creating a low cost per lead. And it's my buddy that I've known for years that used to have a place in the Keys, that used to have a big old boat, but then sent me a text message that said that he's going out of business because he didn't learn retail. And I'll be honest with y'all, this could be a trend across the entire United States, that there's going to be more out-of-pocket expense for the customer. There's going to be financing more involved. And if you don't learn how to like build a brand that has a constant recruiting engine, see, that's the fountain of youth for any roofing company, is unlimited door-to-door recruits. The ability to train those guys into people that could be a zero cost per acquisition, $1 million a year contributor, that is a cheat code for me. But what really, it's an all-around game now. That's the ground force. You got to have the Air Force. The Air Force includes the virtual sales hub, that all your setters and all your virtual closers, all your Facebook leads, all those data points, when I was talking about creating leads through smart data lists, they go into a virtual sales hub. So it's the combination of the Air Force with the ground force. And so if you want to learn how to do that in 2026, we offer something that's insane. I used to sell it for 60 grand. But basically, it's 4 sales training calls a week. You come to my office for 2 days. You get access to a group chat. We train you on insurance, retail, commercial, door-to-door. You immerse yourself with my team, and that's the first step. You see how I train my team. You see how we lead. You see how we execute. And then you take your lessons, you take it to your team. Maybe you want me to train your team. Maybe you want me to implement the virtual sales system, the AI leads, the recruiting funnel. If you do, then we have an opportunity to partner with you to do it for you, or we have an opportunity to coach you on how to do it and do it with you. There's 2 different options, but we don't sell it to anybody who doesn't go through the $5,000 program first. And so if you're wanting to just dip your toe in the water, you can get my entire life's training, Sky Diamonds University. We just built out Lead GPT. You can role play with your team. When roofers compete, you win. Look, if you have legitimate damage, you want it covered. The idea is pretty simple. All the word tracks, I set this with all foundation of my knowledge, my scripts, my data, and built out a sales engine. And so that being said, 150K in the month of December, great work. Jimmy, you should join us in our sales training group. If you're a salesman and you're looking for a scholarship, instead of paying $5 grand, you can get into our community for as low as $150 a month. But you got to qualify. You can't be an owner, and you can't be one of these guys that's got it all figured out. You can't be completely broke. I don't really want to talk to anybody and convince them on spending $150 a month for something that costs $5,000 a year. But if that's you and you want to train with us, you can train with my team, but stick with your team for as low as $150 a month. If you're a business owner and you want to train 5 of your guys with me, you want to go through all the scaling systems, roadmaps, the first step is for you to put it on your calendar, July 31st, December 1st, Naples, Florida. Come join us. And we will take you through everything. We'll take you out on the boat. We'll work out with you. I don't know what your goals are this year, but for me, I think the first thing is like, for everyone that showed up here, pat yourself on the back for being open for growth. Started this day with a workout. Just while I was on this call, there was a freaking $365,000 check picked up that I've been stressed out about all week. And even at the highest level, even though we had a badass week, you know, getting through these holidays with big checks out like 365, this check bounced in my bank account, man. I've been trying to chase this check for fucking a long time. And so I'm glad to have it. More importantly, guys, look, I'll show you how to build an 8-figure roofing company like clockwork. I've done it for literally 60 different guys that were doing $1 to $2 million that went to 8 figures and beyond. There's been literally $400 million in the results. Now, there's probably been 200 people go through this group, this high-end scaling and exit roadmap group. And out of those people, the top of the top 60 guys, there's been 8 guys scaling exit and cash multiple 8-figure checks. So that could be you. Comment, scale, and exit. Send me a DM on Instagram. The link to the mastermind and application and more information is in my Instagram. You can schedule. You can fill out the information. We'll be reaching out. Just wanted to hang with y'all last day of the year. All right. And I want to say thank you for all the supporters. We have been putting our best foot forward here on content on YouTube, demonstrating the sales. I think it was a couple years ago when I just said, you know what, there's nothing more real than just showing every objection, every close. And so for me, when I get to go out there and sell and create game tape, I create recruits, I train, and I just know that no one else is doing it in the roofing industry. They're not showing every aspect of the game. They're not giving you the game on how to scale from a business owner's perspective, because there's no business owners out here really creating content that have been through what I've been through. And so, you know, one thing's for sure, you can never get ahead of the money. You need to be selling at 45 to 50% profit. You should have a loan with 70% of the deals. You should always, even if it's an insurance deal, get paid when you're finished. Your average accounts receivable shouldn't be over 15 to 30 days. If it is, you're living death by depreciation. If you don't have organic social media bringing you recruits, you're living in the past. If you aren't advertising for profit using lots of video ads, if you don't have a virtual sales hub like SDU Hub with AI automation, AI phone calls, all the follow-up engines, guys, you're going to get left behind. All these companies that are getting bought by private equity, they have all these things. But what's different about me is I'm an actual operator. So as I scale and hit each part of the roadmap, I'm able to help you. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're missing a sales manager. Maybe you're missing a production manager. Maybe you need the right system to run production. Maybe you need the lead gen. Maybe you need the recruiting. Come to the Scale and Exit Mastermind. Come out on my boat. Type in Scale and Exit. Apply to join. End of the year, y'all have a great year. Appreciate everybody. I'm out.